I am live. Let me see. Can I zoom in live? I can zoom in live. Probably don't need to. Um, I used to do it in previous videos. It's been a while. Guessing the grade, the quest to 100. I'd like to call myself, some people are called scalpers, some people are called resellers, some people are called collectors. Uh, I guess a separate title is enthusiast. I'd like to call myself a regrader. You know, like regrader is a weird title, so I'm not necessarily going out and buying slabs that need to be regraded. I'm basically buying cards for the hunt of regrading or getting graded. I don't know. I'm not a grader, because like that's someone who works at either the PSA, BGS, or CGC. Um, I'm a gradee. I don't know, but you're kind of probably wondering, how did procrastination make me money? So if you're new to the channel, most things I do, it's none of the fun, sexy lights, distraction stuff. It's more of the analytics and how to make money with Pokemon, but also enjoying the appreciation of the art that is put into the effort of this media franchise. So one of the things that made me money was just my procrastination. I was looking to, and now I'm finally making the movement to it. I was looking to get things graded, and in order to do that, I was going to sell some things raw, which I'm doing now, and this is the perfect time to do it. But I was going to do it earlier, even though I had made I had made a video you can find 3 years ago where I said 2025 is going to be huge for Pokemon, and right now that has been true. I've got my collector app. I don't have the pro app. I really need to get that. It's only like $5 a month, not sponsored. Um, so, uh, and I've predicted quite a few go up. Some definitely went up more than others. One I don't think I made a video about, but I had made, like, not a direct video about the type of set, which was tag team, but I made a video regardless saying go for the sets that people aren't exactly super fond of, but really makes sense. And so, like, any card that involves multiple Pokemon is a great card, whether it directly states multiple Pokemon. So there's some cards that have Pokemon in the background, and like clear as day. Um, Tag Team, though, is a set that declares the multiple Pokemon that are in the card. For example, Blastoise and Bullpup. And it's funny, because this is one of the cards that I was ready to just kind of relinquish as a raw and use the funds to, of course, pay for other cards that it graded. Because back in the day, tag teams really weren't that high up. And in terms of movement, it didn't seem like they were going to really blow up. Like, yeah, they would go up. And I had them marked for me as like a go up card set. I didn't have them marked as a blow up card set. And it's just kind of funny. You can't kind of predict them all, right? Yeah, so I've already kind of gone ahead and pulled everything out of the sleeves and cases. I'm not going to do that here for you guys anymore. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to play guess the grade as is. As we kind of do that and go through each card, I am still looking out to you guys to let me know what I should do as giveaways. Like, I've got the items ready, but I need you guys to decide how I should do giveaways. Like, if it should be like Game Show Mr. Beast style. I don't like doing it the way I used to do it. It just didn't get much engagement. It was usually the same 3 people. So sometimes I'd have the same person win multiple giveaways. And that's also based on my audience basis just isn't large. A lot of people don't like analytics. A lot of people do like play guessing the grade, in my opinion. But guessing the grade takes a long time. Because I still have to mail these in. And it just doesn't seem like there's going to be any in-person grading sessions near me anytime soon, and specifically PSA or BGS or CGC for some cards, not for this card. So this card, I'll try and get under some good light, and I'll try and zoom in. So my guess on this card, I'm guessing PSA 10. Let's try and get under some better light here. And obviously it's gonna be a little bit harder for you guys because I have it sleeved and I have it top loaded. Um, but as far as I could see, now you're seeing, of course, you're seeing mostly scratches on the top loaders. As far as I could see, there's no dents, no scratches. The only thing I think that made me nervous about it, it wasn't centering. Centering on this card is dead perfect. In fact, let me go ahead and move. So like when I do sell things on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, I use a black background. If anyone you're buying from will not use a black background, like sometimes they don't do it by mistake, they don't know. But if you personally request new photos, state you want a black background. In fact, if I can find a card with whitening, I think there's some in this stack that we're going to go through, these 20 cards. I'll show you the difference. It's day and night. So I think it comes down to people want to make a sale, of course, and they want to get top dollar. But in all honesty, they're not doing you any favors, and they're not doing themselves any favors. Because if you buy it as a customer and the whitening was hidden because they took a picture of the card with a white background, you're just going to request a refund, or at least I hope you do. Like, fight for your right for being deceived. But yeah, so I guess PSA 10, that white mark is just dust on top of the top loader, along with that white dust. I know this is going to be harder for you. We'll play guess the grade. We'll see if anyone gets any grades right. I'm going to have to obviously come back to this video a long time from now, which I did in the past. And we'll do a giveaway that way. That spec is also, it's not on the top loader, but you can see there's a spec on the corner right there. I think that's on the penny sleeve itself. It's not on the card. Again, I really did examine this card. See, there's really nothing. I definitely think it should PSA 10. I would love to BGS a card, and I would love to get the black label. And this might be one of my only chances to get it. I'm just so nervous with the black label. Now, the great thing about this card, PSA 10, most asking prices is $2+ grand. I went to confirm solds on eBay. It's about 1.6, 1.8. By the time I get it graded, if the card keeps going up, it will be 2. That's pretty great. I think if I got a black label, I do believe I would be a pop 1 of 1. It's a really great card, really cool card, really great concept. The only thing I would love to see more with a tag team concept is maybe even go as far to have like go to mega, like double megas, like Mega Charizard, Mega Venusaur, Mega Charizard, Mega Blastoise, Mega Venusaur. That sounds over the top, but that's kind of what Pokemon always has been, being more over top on the previous sets, and then sometimes, of course, dropping down in sets where a lot of the cards are cards that people don't really want, but they put a lot of effort into the artwork. By cards people don't want, like the Pokemon type. Like Southern Islands, if you look at Southern Islands is a lot of cards, or a lot of Pokemon people don't really like, but they like the Southern Islands set. In fact, they didn't like the Southern Islands set almost when it came out. It was like retailers had to like force people to take their Southern Islands cards. So I'm guessing a 10 on this for PSA. You guess whatever. I know it's a lot harder for you than me because I'm here in person. You're here over camera. Now this card was a great find by me. It was by complete accident. I bought this card and a whole box deck case from somebody else that was like maybe 50 hollows and like 10 non-hollow rares, and it was a great stack. I paid exact asking price from the guy in person. Looking back on it, I should have probably asked for a bit less. If this card comes out of 10, then I'm 100% green, not really worried about it. Because this card in a 10, PSA 10, is 1 grand or more. I think that's even confirmed sold. This thing doesn't sell a lot in 10s, not because the asking price isn't right, there's just not a lot of them. And then, if you haven't noticed already, the thing that makes this even more unique is that awesome misprint, the hollow bleed. And this Mew has, since this is Japanese, they got the Pokeballs and the hollow, and this one has a Pokeball right on its forehead. Now, as you can see, centering on the front is fantastic. The surface is great. The only one thing, so I originally wanted to send this into BGS for a black label, because this was going to be my card that I really 100% considered being a black label. I mean, just 100%. And in fact, I don't think you can see it unless I pull it out. And so I know I said what I'm going to do. I won't do it for every card. I'm going to do it for these first two. I'm going to pull it out. In fact, actually, I'm going to re-penny sleeve this. This is in a short penny sleeve, which just don't use short penny sleeves or dirty penny sleeves. My opinion, just penny sleeves are so cheap. Just go buy new penny sleeves. So the one thing I'm trying to show you, I missed it when I looked at this card a long time ago. So on the back, is that where I see it? There it is, it's on the back. Is that itty bitty little nick. Now, I have to recheck their standards, but I remember back in the day, PSA said you still could get a 10 with an absolute itty bitty minor whitening. And really, you see it because of the background. Watch what happens when I slide something white behind it. Ooh, a lot more invisible. Now think about when someone does that for a card that has whitening all around. It basically becomes very hard to spot all of it. Now, I don't know what background PSA uses. They probably use a background of black when they're looking at cards. I would be devastated if this came back a PSA 9 because a PSA 9 in this card is only a couple $100 versus a PSA 10. And you know what? I think I'm seeing another nick right there. This will probably 9 now. Actually, maybe even less. That's pretty devastating because I was really hoping for a 10. And now we're looking at possibly an 8. That's terrible. This was for a while in my mind, my holy grail card. I wonder if I just always kind of looked at it like just right off angle and missed it. Oh, that's terrible. This one will definitely be PSA because I can tell you now that won't black label BGS. I would be extremely excited and honored if that PSA 10 does the front is pristine. I mean, this is a fantastic card. And if you don't know, Fossil Mew is... that's the only way to get it. There is no English Fossil Mew. There's promo English Mew, which is essentially the same card, but there is no Fossil English Mew. So, and if you have it, either it's fake or that's an extremely rare card. Yes. Hello. Next, this one I didn't expect to get a 10. This one I expected an 8 to 9. Huge favorite by pretty much anyone I know of who doesn't like Gyarados. Who doesn't love the episode to where Magikarp becomes Gyarados? So I've got 8 to 9, and let me see. It's probably something on the back. It's like for all of the cards I have, there's always some sort of damage or wear on the back. There's a nick up there and a nick right there. And then again, look, if someone takes a picture, it becomes near invisible. And then they always do it at an angle, like on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. So, yeah, try and buy your cards in person, obviously. So I'm guessing 8 to 9. You take your guesses. 9 would be fantastic. 8 would still be pretty good. It is a shadowless. This next card I got 9 to 10. So it's Japanese base set Mew. Lovely kind of double swirl right there. I said Mew. Mewtwo. Oh my goodness. I'm a little bit out of it. I had an adult beverage right before I started this live. Oh, that's why I said that. The centering is off. It's a bit thicker on this side than this side, and a bit thicker on top than below. I see one white speck there. Oh, wait. Oh, that's just on the borders. and some whitening right here on the corner. That should 9, but centering is just one of the things that has always kind of had me upset. I don't think it's right that cards can come from the factory and not be a 10. But I guess it's, at the same time, I guess it's good to have that. Because people would only open sealed and graded, and then they would only be selling graded cards from that point on. So, Shadowless Mewtwo. I've got a guess of an 8. Again, most of the scratches you're seeing are on the top loader. Border left to right is pretty decent. It's top to bottom. It's super thick on the bottom. I hope that makes it... Like, look at how much thicker it is on the bottom. So, it's going to get obliterated on centering. Sadly, that's just graded on so hard. I wish it wasn't. Like, oh, and I've got whitening along the side. I might be wrong. 8 might be hopeful. This might be a 7, sadly. I think 8 is being hopeful. If it only had one or the other, 8 to 9, with it having both and how atrocious this bottom is, it's a fat bottom Mewtwo. Man, if I were you, the audience, I would guess 7. I'm going to leave 8 on my paper. That's what I put down. And then from here out, so you can't see the paper anymore, I got like 6 tag team cards to go through. So this one, Charizard and Brayson, I put 9 to 10. Hopefully 10. The price difference is pretty insane, as it is for nearly every... nearly every 9 to 10 card. Centering on the front doesn't look too bad. It is kind of funny. I kind of have noticed over time, nearly every card, the whitening or whatever, the damage seems to always be on the back. I'm not seeing any whitening, even in person or on camera. It may have just been centering that made me consider this being a 9 to 10. I'm looking at it in person past the iPhone. Ah, jeez. Well, I'll leave 9 to 10 down, but 10 would be fantastic. Because 10 is a massive price difference. 9, I've got, they go for about $45. Is 10s, they go for about $250. So the hunt for 10s is real, guys. Okay, got a Greninja in Zoro art. Awesome. Like Pokemon, I think great. You know, they're not even close to the same element types, but they are both kind of like that, almost sort of like ninja assassin solo protagonist sort of Sasuke like character. So this is a pretty cool card in terms of like who they've put together for it. For Greninja and Zoro, I got 9 to 10. So I know why I put that. So see how you got your black line, and you've got your black line, and then look, itty bitty bit of silver, good amount of silver. So right off the bat, centering slaughters this card. 10 is being hopeful. 9's being more realistic. That spec you're seeing is 100% not on the card. That is either in between the top loader and penny sleeve, or even like on the card in between the penny sleeve, but it's not damage to the card. That's just a spec in the way. And it's funny, centering on the back is a lot better. It's still different, but that's funny because centering on the front and back should match, and it doesn't. 10 is being super hopeful. 9 being more realistic. 9, that card goes for 100, which is a lot better than the Charizard and Braxton, because a 9 for that goes for 45. and then a 10 kind of caps out at 250. So it's kind of funny how cards do that. Their 9s to 10s can be a bit closer, or they can just be this extreme gap in between. So this is a card that I would say most people don't seem to care about. Most people do not seem to care about Muck or any sort of garbage type Pokemon at all, except for mud play, or except for gameplay. I know there was this major thing for Garbage Door or something, to where like that was a banned card, the specific version of it, because it was like super broken. That's a whole nother story. So Muck and Alolan Muck. I don't have much to say in terms of this being an awesome card. I think it's a perfectly fine card. I'm not really like major blown away by Muck. And centering's pretty good. I didn't have anything wrong with this card. I put it down as a 10, which it needs to be because a 10 is 200. I didn't look up 9s, but if I had to guess, a 9's probably like $45. Yeah, the only thing I have to say about Muck, at least the original Muck, is I had a ton of fossil Mucks back in the day. I mean, I have a ton of fossil Mucks now, but back in the day, when all I had was one binder with like 20 to 30 pages in it, I had a page of just fossils. I think I had 2 pages of fossil Mucks, and like 80% of those being hollow. So it was like 15 hollows and 3 non-hollows. So yeah, my appreciation for Muck was that I had a lot of them, but not that I necessarily thought Muck was cool. So Reshiram and Charizard. I put a 10 for this. Again, hold on. Let's see. I know I said I wasn't going to pull them out, but... Okay, that's just specs on the card. I thought I saw a ding on the top. Just specs on the card. That is perfectly fine. Awesome card all around. I guess the 10, which would be nice because it's $300 if it's a 10. Centering on the front, pretty decent. Not perfect. I will admit that. Not perfect. A little bit higher on the top than bottom. A little bit thicker on the right than the left. On the back, it's like way closer. It's a little bit thicker on the top than the bottom. And then it's also kind of like askew slanted on the top. Oh, man. But I'm hoping it's within limits, because a 10, again, is a major difference. I didn't look up 9s for this card, but I'm willing to bet a 9 is $45 and a 10 is $300. Reshiram and Charizard again. Bet you weren't expecting that. This one I also guess a 10. Also is a 10. It's a 300. Now, there is what looks like to be maybe an itty, you should consider it an itty bit of whitening. I don't know if I consider that whitening per se. I'll even zoom in on it for y'all. It's more just like kind of how the card is crimped together more so than it's whitening. It's kind of hard to explain without you seeing it in person. I guess we consider it whitening. I hope the PSA doesn't. The rest of it looks, fantastic. The centering on this card, left to right, top to bottom, is better than the previous Reshiram. And on the back, it's great. So, it's just on the corner, even on the back, it's like it's slightly different. It's like it wasn't quite 100% crimped right. But this should come back at 10. I hope it does. And just to get things out of the way, I'm not money hungry, but money helps move the channel forward like any other channel. So, as much as in the past, I would kind of do a mixed set of cards. And these are still kind of a mixed set of cards. Trust me, they're not all my top dollar cards up front, but they are, hopefully, if some of these come back 10s, there's some pretty top dollar cards without getting into the 5 digits. It's really sad, because I really was hoping to black label that BGS Mew, that fossil Mew I showed you. But but it's not going to happen seeing the whitening on the top and left like that. But as I said, 2025 has been great for Pokemon. My portfolio, at least in collector, has gone up drastically. So now we move on to probably the most original tag team in all of Pokemon. Jesse and James. I know, it's not a tag team GX card, but this is the original tag team of Pokemon. Jesse and James pretty much tormented a little 10-year-old boy, Ash. I don't think this is his exact age, but you get what I'm talking about. They basically hunted down a young man for years in my childhood. So for this card, I put 9 to 10. The price difference is $69, which is hilarious. Rule 34. And I put 165 for the PSA 10, but I also saw some people asking again, 169, Rule 34. I put 9 to 10. Let's take a quick look and see if we can see why. And right off the bat, if I had to guess, it of course is centering. Top is a little bit bigger than bottom, but I don't think it's atrocious. On the back, though, it does appear to be more atrocious. So it's definitely a lot thicker on the back top than it is the bottom top. And I'm not seeing any whitening. 10 would be awesome. 9 would be fantastic too. Anything less than 9, that might be the time where I finally, for this card specifically, taking that close of a look at it that I have. Because again, I've pulled all these out before I've done this live. I pulled them out of the sleeves, pulled them out of the penny sleeves, did a full-on look under white/yellow light at the same time, and I've done my research on them. And if you don't know, I've done 100+ grades. And I've learned quite a bit from those 100+ grades. Those 100+ grades were purposely not my top cards, so kind of get a feel for what grading is like just with PSA. I have not done BGS or CGC yet. I've got some cards for both. That Blastoise and Piplup, I would love to do. Maybe even some of these ones that I just put straight 10 on, I would love to do. The issue I have with it, if you don't know, is it used to not be this way. I think BGS has always done its black label, or they've done their black label for years. But people have finally kind of considered the black label as an 11, which they should. With lesser. The issue is because PSA 10 cap at 10, PSA 10 is considered very high. It's obviously not considered as high as the BGS Black Label. You get anything as BGS Black Label, and it's a massive multiplier. And so, for example, some cards, PSA 10 might go for $1,000, but a BGS Black Label, they might go for $10,000. It's that much of a difference. You pay a little bit more to grade with BGS. I want to say it's usually 30, 35 bucks a card. I might be wrong. I've never graded with them. I do want you to keep that in mind. Go at their grading fees. Because I would like to. I prefer their slab overall entirely. However, a BGS Standard 10 does not seem to hold the same value as a PSA 10. Back in 20 to 2022, it absolutely did. I remember looking at prices, and it made sense to me at that point and forever on to always use BGS for grading. But recently, 2024, 2025, while I've been watching the prices, PSA 10 is encapsulating BGS Standard 10. The BGS Black Label still has its place, still that holy grail, still that amazing label card factor to it. But a PSA 10, in most cases, has overshadowed now the BGS 10. I don't think it should personally. I've been told BGS is a lot more stringent than PSA in terms of grading. I think the BGS label is a lot nicer looking. I think it's a lot better in terms of how it presents data on it, in terms of your corners, your surface, And there was one more. I haven't looked at a BGS label in a long time. I've only owned one, and it wasn't through me grading it. I bought it directly. I think it was just whitening, I think is what the last box was. So, and originally Beckett was the one who was grading Pokemon. PSA back in the day did not grade Pokemon. They eventually took them on. They take them on. It's just an extra side project. And now, as far as I'm aware of, TCG, Pokemon, PSA's services in terms of demand and. But moving on, we're now moving out of the tag teams, and we're moving on to a card that I wish I would have bought more of, as most of these cards. I think a lot of people would have bought more of these cards. I think even back in the day, it's still kind of steep. I want to say they were going for about $100, maybe even $200 fresh. So without further ado, talking about Mega Rayquaza EX. I have this as an 8 to 9, and besides just the texture and the awesome coloring, Rayquaza is just a cool Pokemon. Then to Megafy that's just a bit much. So as far as I'm aware of, on the front, I didn't really see anything wrong. Centering's a little bit thicker on the right than the left. Top and bottom centering is perfectly fine. It was the back. I've got whitening on this corner. I've got whitening up top, around the corner, down the edge. But they're all just little, they're like little, this is the biggest one. All the other ones are just boop, boop, boop. They're little dots of whitening. And just, whoop, now you don't see them. It doesn't make them invisible, but it makes them harder to see. So again, if you ask for photos with a black background and they don't give them to you, don't buy from them. But 8 to 9. 9's being hopeful. I think 8 is pretty close to on the money. The price difference between 8 to 9 is not that crazy. 8 is $820 and a 9 is $1,050. So we'd really be happy with either one of those. Now I pulled some cards out. Sorry about that. I walk down slowly. Thank you. Now, walk down slowly. Now, I pulled some cards out. I had a Southern Islands Pidgeot, non-hollow. It wasn't going to make the cut. I'm just going to sell it raw or use it as a promo giveaway. Maybe not for the channel. I've been selling a lot of things raw to pay for the grading fees. So, I'm probably just going to, what I've been doing lately for things that I sell is, like if you buy like a certain amount of cards from me, I give you a free card on top of it. So I've been posting that on my Facebook Marketplace. It's really kind of the best way I can discount things. Put that back. Put that back. You can't carry that down. Put that back. So Pidgeot was next, but I'll be right back. 1 second. Let's carry it down. You can't have it up here. Come on. I'll open it for you, but you have to be down here. Here. Oh, you want one of those? I'll give you one of those right here. I have one on the fridge. Gia, here. Gia, right here. It's in the fridge. Gia, here. Does it work? Let me me see. Did it work? There. It works. Did y'all find Doug? Oh, neither. I am sorry about that. My youngest, I'm upstairs. She's not quite really a stair-ready child, at least going down. And she's been up here, and now she wanted to go down. Okay, so yeah, I dropped the non-hollow Southern Islands Pidgeot off this list. It just wasn't going to make it. When a card is as bad as that, even with Facebook Marketplace, it's sometimes not worth selling because it might be like a $10. So I'll either use it as a giveaway card for the channel when we figure out what we're going to do about giveaways, folks. Or I use it as a, oh, if you buy $100 worth of cards from me, you'll receive this card free. Just make sure you mention it, like you're sort of a coupon sort of thing. So next thing though, still Southern Islands. In fact, I've got Southern Islands for the next 3 or 4 cards. Is Southern Islands Meryl. The reverse hollow or hollow, whatever you want to call it. I put reverse hollow. I think when you grade it, this is reverse hollow. For this, I put 7, which I think is fair. A 7 of this card is only $55. Centering is good all around. I mean, I don't fully understand it, to be honest, with centering. I don't know if the thickness needs to be the same on all 4. If thickness is just same across each. Does your top to bottom thickness is near the same, but the top to bottom is thicker than the left to right on this card. If I had to guess 7, I put a 7 because I see whitening. Well, that makes me sad because I put 8 to 9 on the Rayquaza, but I see more whitening on this card than the Rayquaza. I guess there's some silvering, and there is a slight. There's a slight uplift. You can see it right there. Right, it's casting a shadow on the card itself. So there's kind of like a slight uplift. I don't know what you guys want to call it, but that in my experience has always ruined a grade. So that's why I put 7 for this. Had it not had that, and it just had the whitening as it does, I'd guess an 8. But I've had really bad luck with that. And again, the Southern Islands cards is actually, at least when it comes to reverse hollow cards, the Southern Island cards is one of those cards that when you get a 10, it's like the cards are thousands of dollars. But when you get a 9 and below, they're like $100. But moving on to another Southern Islands card, Southern Island Togepi. I think it's mentioned a lot about Southern Islands set, but just for those who don't know, Southern Islands is one of the original first sets that had other Pokemon in the background. So Southern Islands is a set that actually draws a picture. So same with Meryl, there's a Magikarp, and like if you connected all of them, they basically draw a scene. I feel as though nowadays it's pretty common knowledge. Even as a kid, I kind of picked up on it pretty quick. You've got Wartortle, Pikachu, Togepi, and you've got Ivysaur all right there. For the Southern Islands Togepi, I guess 7 to 8. Centering looks to be good. I do see silvering on the front. And some whitening. Honestly, I think I would just guess 8 at that point. I put $90 for declared value. I don't know if that was in the 7 or the 8 category, or it may have been one of those cards that some 7 to 8s are so close in value that it really doesn't matter if you had a 7 or 8. So we've got Japanese Southern Islands Mew, I put 7, mostly because it's way thicker on this side than this side. And we've got some whitening up top. Got some whitening on the edge. Yeah, I know, and then more here and here. This is definitely, it's definitely a 7 or lower. I think it should 7. The standard difference between 7 and 8 is extremely drastic for those who do not know. Next one is the same card but English. If you didn't notice, it's a way different pattern. I can't really say if I actually appreciate the Japanese one more than the English one. I think back in the day, for sure, I thought it was really neat with these being technically the first reverse hollows. In terms of, well, I don't remember if these came out first or if the promo Ante came out first. Ante. But this is what was originally a reverse hollow. And besides us being kids actually playing the game with them, this specific hollow foil stuff that they had used for the cards scratches super easily, which is why having a 10 in these cards is worth so much, because it's just near impossible. Oh yeah, we got a terrible uplift sort of thing here. I had guessed a 6 for this card. You got silvering up top, and yeah, nicks of whitening. That I think is just a speck in between, but you've got whitening on the corner, whitening across the top. Really, mostly that uptick does a whole lot to it. If I didn't have that sort of uptick, I'd guess a 7. I just put straight a 6. What's funny is the English version and a 6 has an estimated value based on confirmed sold listings on eBay of $150, but the 7 in the Japanese version has 75. So again, it's kind of funny how much more demand and strength the English cards pull, for the most part, than the Japanese cards. So, wonderful card. One of the first cards to have kind of like a distinct multicolor holographic background. And this card, even though I'm guessing it'll pull an 8, and 8 has an estimated value of 100, I have seen on eBay when people list and specify swirls, and we've got sort of a swirl going on. I don't see a lot of people specify the Pokeball holographic going down, but I've kind of seen like swirls when it's listed and typed into eBay. It adds value even if it's a graded card, and I'm willing to bet that if I were to specify this, and with it being like at the floor / butt of Dragonite, it wouldn't skyrocket the value of the card, but it will add value. So for example, I've seen PSA 7 Neogenesis English Lugias go for confirmed sold 400, 420, because there was a swirl, like Neogenesis, the Lugia is facing this way, and so there's like a swirl right at the mouth. And they mentioned that in the listings, and those listings go for 400, 420 PSA 7, and same exact card, same exact grade, but the swirl isn't mentioned, or it's not exactly at that cool placement, and the card goes for 370. So something to always keep in mind. But I think with that super clear definitive Pokeball holographic right there, we've got swirl happening here, double layer swirl, but that specifically will make the value go up, at least if you type it into your eBay listing. I guess an 8 for this card. Centering looks fine, a little bit thicker on the right than the left, top to bottom looks the same. There we go. Whitening on the back, right up top. It's a pretty large nick. Sadly, an 8 is a hope and a prayer with that large of a whitening. They allow whitening on 8s, but it would usually have to be that side spec, not that whole spec, and definitely not both. As an 8, I've got a declared value of 100. I'm just hoping the PSA will be nice to me. I had to remove a fossil Japanese Tyranitar. It wasn't going to make it. This I'm going to have to see if I can put in the MC, because you'll see here in a second. It is very thick up top. It's very thick down below too, but even then, with even a thick bottom, it's like twice as thick up top. So it's just a base set first edition Machamp. I think what made Machamp cool for most people, besides just them, everyone basically getting one and it being like their first edition card out the bat. I think what made it really cool was if you look at every other holographic, it's just coloration to the background. Machamp, they made his arms going at supersonic, like, like after image speeds in the background, like making it clear that like not only is Machamp this super buff 4-armed Pokemon, but he's also super fast. And he's the only Pokemon card in base set that has this after image effect going on. So I think that's what made Machamp super cool. Besides, of course, people getting him as a sealed card and being first edition. But that really doesn't mean anything because he always was first edition. He's worth more if you find a base set Machamp that isn't first edition. But I had put a 9, which is probably, let's see. I see just an itty bitty bit of whitening right there and right there, tiny bits. I would say most of the 9 comes from the fact that it's just so thick top and bottom. And believe it or not, getting Machamp, base set Machamp, in a 10 is actually worth your time and money. Base set Machamp in a 10, I saw asking price for $2,000. That was 3 to 4 years ago. I'm willing to bet that there's probably confirmed sold listings at 2,000 as well. Because base set cards are hard to come across as 10s, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why for that. Next card is kind of a controversial card. Japanese Moo Moo Milk. It is a banned card. At least the Japan version is a banned card. They have a different image for the English card because it's viewed almost kind of too sexually seductive. Yeah, that's just as spec as I thought. I have mine put between a 9 or 10, and usually if I put 9 or 10, it's centering, which I'm seeing is thicker on the left and the right. Had that not been the case, I definitely would have put a solid 10 for this card. As a 10, it is $200. Almost 100. Yep, that's just, as you can see, that white speck is on the sleeves, not on the card. As a 10, it's $200. As a 9, it is $60. Massive difference. However, for me, both are still great. You have to always keep in mind, though, that basically it costs about $20 per grade. At the cheapest end, it costs $20 per grade. So always keep that in mind in terms of grading fees, in terms of how much the card's worth after you grade it. I basically got this card for free. When I buy sets, this card usually isn't considered by anybody because it is a common. And they usually don't know what to look up because it's in Japanese. So if they're not willing to put in the time and effort on Bubblepedia, they don't know to look up this card, Japanese Moo Moo Milk. They don't know the name of it because most people in America don't read Japanese. And most people don't know the history of this card. But once you get it PSA labeled, then people do know. So yeah, I would love to have a 10 that's centering way thicker on the left than the right. I don't think he'll get a 10. I do think he'll get a 9. Fingers crossed they'll get a 10, because that's a $140 difference, and I'd really appreciate that. Last card for here, another band card, Japanese, Sabrina's Gaze. Now, if you get a card with no rarity symbol, that means, at least for Japanese, it means it's from a theme deck. For example, here is a Japanese trainer. There's your rarity symbol. If you get it from a theme deck, it will not have a rarity symbol. So when I input this card into PSA, I need to make sure, because there's only 2 ways to get this card. You can get it from the Yamabuki theme deck, or you can get it from Japanese Gym Challenger, or Gems of Darkness, or whatever is what it's actually called if it's the Japanese set. You can pull it from a booster pack. However, you'll know if it's from the booster pack or not if there's a rarity symbol or not, which complicates things because some Japanese cards with no rarity symbols are considered first editions. But this is from the Yamabuki City theme deck, and I put a straight 10 on this card. Centering is fantastic. I don't see any whitening front or back. Again, a card I might consider trying to hunt down that BGS black label. I have no black labels. I would love to have a black label. I don't even know how much of a multiplier it would be on this card, because even if this card was the only one of one black label, I don't think it would really make it be crazy. PSA 10, this card goes for 200. That's confirmed sold listings. 200, $202. If I had to guess, if it was a BGS black label and it was even a one of one, it might get as crazy as $2,000, and even then might be pumping the numbers. Oh, by the way, if you don't know why this Sabrina's Days Japanese Yamabuki City theme deck set, this specific card is banned, it's just this is too close to being a middle finger. So they changed it to the other Sabrina's Days for English set, which is kind of her staring at you with side eye, without her hand up in the air like this. But yeah, I've got a clean 100% PSA 10. And I think that's kind of the way you gotta look at things. When you've got that mindset that this card, your card, whatever you have, will PSA 10, you might as well go to the BGS, or at least back in the day you might as well, because again, like I stated, it used to be, okay, you didn't get a black label BGS, but you still got a standard BGS. You know what, here, just for spread while I talk, because I don't edit my things, so you don't have your little distraction video going on. I can put them in order later. Let's just make it a clean looking image, right? I've got the order written down. Ooh. We'll even zoom out a little bit so we can fit more in there. So yeah, back in the day, just a couple of years ago, even before that, years ago, a standard BGS 10 pulled more than a PSA 10, no matter what. So it always made sense to do BGS. That's all I can fit on the screen for now, guys. So it always made sense to do BGS. You just paid a little bit extra, and that was that. But now with the BGS standard 10 being less than a PSA 10, now there is a double wrist. It used to just be one wrist. The wrist was, I won't hit the black label, but I'll start at the BGS 10. It'll cost $15 more for the grade. I lose $15 in profit. But if you're talking about making $1,000 on a card, whoop-de-doo, with the chance of making $10,000 on a card, right? So the risk to reward 100% made sense. But nowadays, with BGS 10s, standard 10s coming below PSA 10s in value, the risk to reward, it's not 100% there. Obviously, of course, if you get the black label, you're making way, 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 way more money. But I wouldn't do that unless you already think the card 100% will be a PSA 10. Because if you're already that adamant and accurate, you probably will get the black label, in my opinion. But that's not coming from someone who's gotten a black label. But I've seen plenty of videos where people who are just like, oh, that's a black label. And they just pull it aside, send it in, and it comes back black label. Which is pretty impressive in terms of being able to make that call. Like, I've seen them do it with multiple cards with pretty good accuracy. Like they sent in 10 cards that they thought would black label, and 8 out of the 10 black label. That's pretty good because, again, it's still human grading. So maybe all 10 were supposed to be black labels. And I've seen things that were so crazy. It's pretty famous on Reddit. The one Moonbryon, it was a PSA 8. The guy said, nah, I disagree. Cracked it open, sent it to BGS, and it came back a black label. A PSA 8 to a BGS black label is an insane difference. But again, that's what I'm getting at. People are just trying to have that eye for it. I have not held a black label. I think maybe that's the experience of I need to go to a card show and hold a black label and see what that really looks like. Because I bet you I'm sitting on some. I bet you that Blastoise and Piplup are black labels. And that's kind of the other issue. Is a lot of pricing is based on the volume of a card and the volume based of the grading of a card. So if there's more PSA 10s floating around, being traded between hands on eBay and other selling platforms, that moves the market data for that item. But if there's only 4 or 5 BGS 10s, not black labels, but standard BGS 10s, the market data doesn't move as much. That's the other driving factor for price with that. And the BGS black label, of course, is just the popularity demand of a grail. So back in the day, if you watch my earlier videos, I told you if you ever thought it would PSA 10 or be close, just go to BGS. Nowadays, if you're going to do it, I understand you might be holding on to your card for a while. And that's true even if it does come a black label. Because the other issue you have... One second. The other issue you have when you get into really well graded, really expensive cards is now you have to find a buyer. I think eBay is still a great selling platform. My issue with eBay, of course, is their percentage cut. Because you're already paying an eBay membership, usually. But as far as I can tell, if you're going to have a really high value card, you want to use PWCC for your auctions. It's a great card to top with. Again, title of this video, Procrastination Saved Me. I almost liquidated that Blastoise and Piplup 2-3 years ago for like $150. I am so glad I didn't. Another story. I don't think it's a tag team if I remember correctly, but that Latios Heart card, I had an opportunity to buy like a binder sheet from one guy, all fresh pulls, and he was like, "Oh yeah, since you're buying a whole binder sheet, I'll just make it $20 per card." And I was like, "I'm not really looking for that sort of card, but thank you." Because to me, I was like, "Man, I'm not really into like this feminine, emotional girl type card." And now that card is like $2 grand a piece, even raw, as long as it has no like whitening on it. That's so crazy, man. Because that'd be I'd have paid $20 for 9 of them, so it would have been $180, and it'd be 18 grand right now. That's almost like not buying Bitcoin. It's so bad. Um, uh, but yeah, um, my procrastination saved me for a lot of my cards and a lot of my portfolio. Um, just trust your analytics. I am willing to still drop lots of great analytic videos. Uh, some of them, though, I was like, there's still things that I'm using and will use more as I liquidate. Because they make money, and if I drop them on YouTube, even though I've only got like a following of 5, all it takes is the right person who has enough money to control the population of a set. They could ruin the value for me. I know it sounds very very scammer, pay for my course to learn how to get rich sort of thing. But I may not drop very more in-depth detail per set analytical videos. For example, I dropped one on like the Steam Siege XY breakpoint cards, the cards that are horizontal and are like all distro ball chrome. They haven't made huge money, but if you follow that video, if you did that video 3-4 years ago, and it worked out, if you followed it correctly, you've probably quadrupled your money since. And of course, there's other sets and just other videos that I've made. And while I've been building these trades, so I've been building these sheets. In the meantime, as I've been building them, it's kind of funny. It lets me kind of see what sets aren't being talked about because I look up their value via eBay confirmed listings, and there's one set in particular that I think. Let's see. I said 2025 was a big hit. It's been a big hit. What we're about to see. So I'll give you a broad thing if you've made it to the end of this. Liquidate now. So sadly, I'm in grading phase. I'm gonna have to wait for the next big hype. I'm liquidating my raws that aren't worth grading. Liquidate now. We will see one more good push for Pokemon. And then after that one good push, it will probably flatline. So you really won't lose money, but you'll flatline. And then kind of had the standard sort of real estate 2 to 3% increase per year. But near the midpoint to end of Q4 for this cycle, Pokemon will start to drop. And it'll flatline at the end of Q4, this Q4. For 2026, it will stay essentially near stationary. And then 2027, we will see probably a yearly 40% rise, which isn't crazy. If you consider 2025, I think we're at like a 70 to 80% rise, and we're not even complete for the year. So 2027, we'll probably see a 40% rise, a general rise. Then at the end of the Q4 of 2027, it will flatline. And you will only see about 3% increases from there on up for a while. So if you've got cards that get graded, get them graded now. be ready for 2027, and probably completely liquidate out 2027. That's all I can say. Except for your tens, and those tens have to be WOTC. Tens after WOTC, you're just again still looking at your 3% timelines. The great news about your WOTC era is they have basically established market. So like the Moonbryon is what I'm talking about in terms of not WOTC established market. The Moonbryon, as far as I'm aware, was still pretty going up, pretty powerful. I think we're eventually going to see like your Moonbryon and your Van Gogh Pikachus and some other things just kind of have this anchor drop. I don't know what will cause it. I just know, based on how I understand analytics, we're going to see some pretty harsh drops, even on the tens, of these modern markets that have had some extreme pushes. We won't see it happen till the end of this Q4 for tens. We will see it start mid Q4 for RAWs. That's all I have to say. I've got plenty of other grading videos. I've made several sheets that are waiting to go. I don't know when I'll get these cards pushed. I am waiting to sell some raw, and some of these cards, like my Bill Pup, my Blastoise and Bill Pup, and some of these other cards that I definitely think will be 10s, I might BGS, because there's always that chance for the black label. I have to compare the data of a standard BGS versus a PSA 10. Because if it's very close, yeah, I might still go ahead and do it. Because if I do 100% believe these are PSA 10s, the ones that I've put as solid 10s, they'll definitely BGS 10. It's the black label that I'm after. I just gotta make sure that the BGS 10 is not super, super cheap compared to a PSA 10. This has been a very long live. I've appreciated it. I hope you've appreciated it. I hope you all profit from it if you've made it this far. I hope you guys don't overextend in terms of your cost of buying. I hope you guys are currently liquidating if you've got the assets to liquidate, because we are going to see a downtrend soon. The uptrends do not last forever. Some of this comes from the US dollar losing a lot of its value. A lot of this just comes from uptrend cycles. We are near the end of an uptrend cycle. So any up after this is just on the inflation of the US dollar. I think eventually you'll see that cap out. So we're going to eventually see a full downtrend here pretty soon. I think it will come past the midway point of Q4, the end point of Q4. We will see a downtrend. So we're in mid-July now. So come end of November, we start to see the downtrend. I almost guarantee it. Remember, this is coming from a guy who made a on-spot to the T prediction 3 years ago for 2025. You can look that video up on my channel. Other than that, I appreciate all of you listening to my rambles and analytics for this far on. I hope you guys played Guess the Grade. I'll try and be way faster in my other videos. I just have a lot to get off my chest in terms of this video. I've been gone for a long time. And best of luck to all of you. Bye.